So, Alien Earth is upon us, and I had reservations, but I've watched it now. Let's find out if those reservations were warranted. First of all, I'm just going to give you my impressions of the show in a spoiler-free method, because after this I will be going into spoilers and then giving a summary on what I think of the first episode. So, my impression of Alien Earth is that I really wish it wasn't an alien show, because there's some interesting ideas that are presented here, but nearly everything that is in this show in some way copies or diminishes the previous Aliens efforts, particularly Alien and Aliens, and I'm not a fan of that. I don't know why they've gone and done a prequel show anyway. It just puts them in a corner. It narrows that time frame so much that they're going to run out of room and years to be able to do things in. Why not set it after Alien Resurrection, de-age Sigourney Weaver, and have her and Cool, Winona Ryder, again, de-age her, give her a haircut, with aliens on Earth or something like that, or just set it way in the future and have aliens on Earth. By doing this prequel bollocks, that they're trying to knit together this whole Prometheus Covenant kind of era, but all you're doing is running out of room. And unfortunately, what we have in this show is extremely poorly written dialogue and scripting with the clunkiest exposition I've ever seen and extremely poor characterization. It's just a very badly written and executed show, which does have some cool sci-fi ideas that would work better in a show that's not alien-based. So that's the spoiler-free bit. From here on, I'm afraid I am going full spoilers. Obviously, if you wish to carry on watching, all well and good. If not, go check out the show, make your own mind up, and feel free to come back later. And if you like what I do, drop me a sub. If you don't like what I do, hey, let me know what you've got problems with. Maybe I can change that and make the channel better. One of the things that I did not like about Alien Romulus, because I was one of those people who did not like Alien Romulus, I did not think it was good. I thought, again, very lazy writing, awful character writing for the most part, although Andy Johnson was very good. The majority of Alien Romulus was just member berries. You know, remember this, remember that, remember this line of dialogue. Flat out copying pieces of dialogue from other films. I mean, whatever her name was, signs off with Ripley's sign off from Nostromo, even though it makes no sense. I literally said fuck off film at that point. Extended the middle finger and flipped off the film basically because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But Romulus was a very much disappointment for me. It was a greatest hits, including for some reason the end of Alien Resurrection, and it just wasn't good. It was also contaminated with Ridley Scott's Covenant bollocks, all the goo, the black goo and all that kind of stuff. Entirely unnecessary. I think I said in my review that it's got the stench of Ridley Scott all over it, and Ridley Scott's best days are long behind him. He is also a producer on this show. One of 22 producers on this show. So, I was kind of worried that this might be more of the same. And it confirmed my fears by opening the show with an actual recreation of Alien on a different ship called the Not the Nostromo. Super diverse crew, which is actually the only way you can tell them apart because they have no characterization at all. We have Tyres from Spaced giving some horrific world-building exposition. In fact, this entire scene exists purely for the purpose of extremely clunky exposition. It'd be a real shame if that was the only reason that this was in the show and they all got killed off and we didn't get to see any of them again and explore any of these potentially quite interesting characters. But it just copies Alien completely from the waking up. And that's another thing. They wake up from cryosleep, have something to eat, go back into cryosleep. Seems like that makes cryosleep kind of pointless. We've never seen that before, but there you go. They needed this scene to provide all the exposition and also to remind you that you're watching an Alien show, and just chuck those member berries in there and there are shots that are literal recreations of Alien. It's extremely poorly done and it's clunky as hell. So they tell us in this about a boy genius, and then we get to see that boy genius, and he is the stereotypical boy genius, borderline ADHD, whatever, walks around barefoot. I mean, it is just absolute stereotypical boy genius. And we get introduced one of our other characters, Marcy, who seems to have cancer or something, and she is going to be put into an adult, or her personality, her brain or whatever, her memory, is going to be put into an adult robot body so that she can survive and she won't die of whatever this thing is that she's got, cancer or whatever the hell it is, leukemia. So that takes place, and we get some heavy-handed Peter Pan allegory where they show a shot from the scene in Peter Pan, the animated movie, now playing on Disney Plus. You know they wanted to put Peter and Wendy in there, but that just died in its arse, so they didn't bother. And of course she calls herself Wendy in her new body because she doesn't want to be whatever her old body is, which, okay, whatever. It turns out that she's super durable. She survives a jump from like 200 meters easily. Super fast. She runs off super fast. But she's still a 12-year-old inside because she's talking about having boobs and stuff like that because, yeah, whatever. So she's still immature on that level, and they say that's because you can't put an adult brain into the adult body because it's too rigid, it's set. So you need to put a child's brain in there that's still developing. All sorts of weirdness going on there. Okay. We then get a load more children turn up, and they're all given the names of the Lost Boys, and Wendy shows off that she's super strong and says you'll be able to do anything, you won't be ill anymore. So they're obviously bringing all these terminally ill children and then putting their spirits into these android bodies. We're about 25 minutes into now. We've been introduced to an awful lot of characters, but there's been no characterization whatsoever. I don't know who any of these Lost Boys are.
But you're not all boys. So?
We know a bit about the genius, but not a great deal. A bit about the Timothy Oliphant synth, but not a great deal. Nobody has really been established. I mean, the crew of the Imagine, not the Nostromo, I get on one level. That's just a clunky exposition scene. But these other people are going to be people that we're going to be following throughout the episode. We know nothing about them. Absolutely nothing. So don't care anything about it. Anyway, we now cut back to the Imagine, not the Nostromo. Wouldn't you know it? The aliens have escaped that they were carrying, and they're all dead.
No way!
Apart from the cyborg and one other person, and she's banging on the door like, please let me in, while the alien's running around or whatever, has murdered everybody else. No, not only does he not let her in, he gets up, has like a blowtorch attachment on his arm, and welds the door shut while she's very badly acting, asking to be let in. If she could open the door, she was going to open the door. Why weld it shut? Anyway, she gets murdered by an alien, which looks fairly dodgy in some shots, which then just starts to batter its head through the glass and breaking through the glass. While all this is going on, we are told that the ship is going to crash. It's based on a collision course for Earth, and he gets into a little impact room, which, conveniently enough, is built in the bottom of the control room of the Imagine, not the Nostromo. Okay, fair enough. Gets a gas mask because obviously he's a cyborg, human with robot parts. And they said at the start of the show, in another bit of clunky exposition, artificial intelligence, you've basically got cyborgs, which is humans with robot parts. You've got full synths, which is what we've seen elsewhere, which is what Timothy Oliphant's character is, who's got like a Roy Batty type haircut and an unnerving, unblinking gaze. And then you've got hybrids, which is obviously what Wendy and the Lost Boys are going to be. That ends there. The ship kind of glances off of a space station on its way in, and we can see it's headed towards Earth. It's like sort of roughly lunar at the moment, so it's heading towards Earth. So all those crew are dead. So that entire first scene, assuming we don't get to see them again, completely pointless. That whole first scene, completely pointless. Super clunky exposition, a waste of budget, just there to activate the member berries for Alien. Doesn't make any sense because it says they've been on a 65-year mission, and it's 2120, so they launched in 2050. So they were going off looking for alien life in 2050. Not just looking for alien life, but actually to capture and bring back alien life. So where have they been? Did they get them all on the same planet? Are the aliens on other planets? Have they been to LV-426? 65 years out, they went in 2050. So much would be different when they came back, but apparently not. Ships are all the same, the tech's all the same, nothing's changed. I admire the aesthetic of sticking to the Alien universe, and the production values and design in this are very good. Very good. Can't really fault them, although some of the CGI is a bit crap. But yeah, completely pointless. So they're all dead, completely pointless first scene. So much for the crew of the Imagine, not the Nostromo. We don't know anything about you. Right, so now we're introduced to another character, Joe Manganiello, named after the baseball player. I'm sure that'll come in later. And we find out that Wendy has basically been stalking him. She's been watching him because he's her brother. And he's been told she's dead, and he's carrying on with his life on this sort of island called Prodigy, because the corporation that controls this part of the earth is called Prodigy. It's that young genius's domain. It's called Neverland, another Peter Pan reference. He's working for them, and there's basically 5 corporations that own the known realm, the known domain of man. There's no governments anymore. It's just 5 corporations, of which obviously Weyland-Yutani is going to be one. So we get introduced to this Joe character. He's a medic. He is a complete wet blanket, completely useless. Just there's nothing to him. And we find out that basically they used to watch Ice Age together. And there's a scene from that and a line from that will come into play in the next episode. Obviously, Ice Age is available on Disney Plus at the moment. And I'm surprised they didn't just flash that up on screen, because the Disney bait and references here are just so obvious. So after that, and a really weird conversation about sperm between an adult and this 12-year-old in an adult's body, we cut to the Lost Boys, and they're all acting like little 12-year-olds. They're all kids, but in adult bodies. So what you're getting to watch is these adults acting like children. And again, still no real characterization, because children haven't had a life. So it's difficult to put much character on them. They don't have any life experience. And these have none. Again, if they weren't diverse, I would have no idea who any of them... I wouldn't be able to tell them apart. I genuinely wouldn't be able to tell them apart. And this is going to come into play again and again and again. After that, we then cut back to Joe, who's on a rooftop being introduced to some, security personnel, and they're all, working out like Marines. And once again, it's the United Colours of Benetton. They're all super diverse. And then they notice this ship fly over or crash into some buildings not far away. It goes over their heads and knocks off some of the masonry from the building. And you're telling me that none of these people, A, were warned about a ship coming in that's probably going to land in their area. The ship hasn't been tracked by any kind of orbital, security or anything like that, even though we're told that mankind has spread beyond Earth. The ship just comes down, crashes. Its engines are still firing, so it's going fast. Just lodges itself into a building, crashes into a building, wrecks it a bit. The building doesn't even fall over. Going at that speed, there should be a crater the size of Baltimore. Absolutely ridiculous. Crap writing. So it's just crashed into the ground. And obviously, we can all guess what's going to happen. This security team, or whatever they are, pseudo crap Marines, all have to go in. And apparently they're search and rescue. But they've all got pulse rifles. They've all got pulse rifles, which are normal pulse rifles, even though in Alien Romulus, 20 years after this, there's only prototype pulse rifles. Okay, whatever. So they all go onto the ship. They're all useless. These guys are not professional. They're not sort of decent Marines or anything like that. This guy is, this boy Cavalier, his name is meant to be the richest dude in the world. It said he's the world's first trillionaire. Although, I'm sorry, if there's other companies that control massive parts of the world and one of them controls the moon, pretty sure they're going to be trillionaires as well. But whatever. He's the world's first trillionaire, and he can't afford decent security personnel. You've got this wet blanket Joe and just a load of immediately forgettable, non-characterized fodder, alien fodder. We all know what's going to happen, but it does its best to copy aliens here as they wander around with, pulse rifles and stuff, with the LEDs showing up. They've each got 95 rounds. At this point, you're just like, you're just copying aliens. You're just copying aliens. We get to see a corridor that we're going to become very familiar with, because we're going to see it about 10 times over the next episode or so. And they just go into the ship. They all go in, and because Joe is in there, and Joe is Wendy's brother, and she wants to protect him, she's like, look, we could go in there. We're indestructible. We're fast. We're strong. And the world genius guy, the young genius trillionaire dude, goes, yeah, all right, I'm going to send you in. I'm going to send a Timothy Oliphant synth in with you to look after you. I'm absolutely going to send a load of immature 12-year-olds into a potential combat situation, a crisis situation. There's no way that's going to go wrong at all. And while all this is going on, the cyborg gets out of his impact room, and his mission is to basically contain the specimens, which he's going to do by hook or by crook. And what happens is you saw those 2 Marines left behind. He bumps into those after they go onto the ship. They're completely inept. He gets the drop on them. One of them has, like, one of the tick things fell on him. He handcuffs them both to a stanchion or a stand or something like a pipe. And then, while they're helpless, they promptly get attacked by the tick thing. And it proceeds to kill both of them. It just sort of sucks your blood. And quite a good horror scene if it wasn't in such a crap show. So the cyborg is at large and is obviously going to represent problems for the team. And that was the end of the first episode. So my thoughts on this are pretty much the same as they were at the start. It's got some cool ideas, like the whole idea of taking children's minds and putting them in adults' bodies, potentially to be soldiers. That could be really interesting. That could have some really interesting moral quandaries and ramifications. The whole idea of being able to put a spirit or a consciousness into a robot body could be fascinating and explored in a sci-fi aspect, but not alien. It doesn't make sense. It's rubbish. So you've got this going on 2 years before the events of Alien. You've told us you've got cyborg synths and these new hybrids, which we're never going to see again in any of the other series. The cyborg's already stronger than Ash. It's just, it's just really not looking good. But it is early to tell, and, the production values are good, and we're going to get them going through the crashed ship. Now, imagine not Nostromo's crashed. So there's more to come, but, God, the writing and the exposition is just absolutely horrific, and I can see all the foreshadowing miles in advance. Absolutely miles in advance. I just don't think this is going to be any good. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm at a 5 out of 10, because it could go one way or the other, and it's only one episode. But I suspect this is going to go down on the next episode. So I'll be back with an episode 2 review soon. Like if you like, comment if you feel like it, and if you're feeling really cheeky, drop me a sub. I have been Critic, and I'll be back with episode 2 soon.